My name is Dylan Steven and I'm the CEO of 118 Group. If you're watching this video, it's because you've either come across our YouTube channel or you're in one of our mailing lists, and we wanted to send this out just in case any of you guys are thinking about a website, investing in a website redesign or an overhaul, or looking to switch vendors at any point in the next year or fiscal quarter or any point in the near future. We wanted to provide, kind of synthesize years of our experience, specifically my experience across the sales, the design, the development, the launch, and the support stage of a relationship with clients that I've been fortunate to experience with my tenure here at 118 Group. We've launched hundreds of websites. I've been involved in each step of those processes, so I certainly understand what a comprehensive web team and what a comprehensive web project looks like. I've also just had a ton of sales conversations over the past few years, and so I've definitely heard from people who have had bad experiences with prior partners or vendors, and they've explained to me where those issues were, whether it was expectations or delivery. And so I guess I wanted to just put it all into a quick presentation, get you that information, just so if you're getting into sales conversations over the next couple of months, you know the questions to ask, you know the things to look out for, you have a rough understanding of cost, a rough understanding of where you fit in. So, and how to approach the sales conversation so that you can be most successful. So we'll get right in. The first, the way we're going to break this down, we're going to cover, setting proper expectations for yourself, what you need to ask yourself, how to hire the right team, and what you need to do to come prepared for the actual project. And if you can do all of this correctly, you're off to a really good start. So proper expectations. One, it's a ton of work. A typical project can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months, and it involves a lot of homework and brain power from you, the client. You don't want to spend money on a project where you just sign a deposit and disappear, and then you come back a few months later to a partner who said we're done. Because my guess is it will not be what you wanted. If you have a vision and you want to be, you have an idea of what you're looking for, it takes time to communicate that to a designer. And if you don't know what you're looking for, it's really important that your designer, your developer, your web team is having the conversations with you in order to help you develop a joint vision. For us, we have a pretty intense client onboarding stage that requires a few hours in the early stages for our clients to complete, so that we have a full understanding, not just of design, but of branding and history, data and data access, vision for the future, objectives. And then it's a couple of hours during the actual design stage for feedback and revisions and content work and everything else. So if you're like maxed out on time right now, you're one of those people who are working 7 days a week, you have no time, you probably will not be ready for a web project with a team like ours, for example, who wants to work on a joint, in a joint capacity with our clients to achieve their vision, align with their business objectives, and find success. So either you need to pick another time to go down this route, or you need to find a way to delegate or carve time for these conversations and these onboarding and design stage feedback and exercises. So it's a lot of work if done well. Two, it's only a piece of a larger strategy, albeit a very important one. A lot of conversations start with, clients come to the table thinking if they just invest in a new website, their business will be revolutionized, or they will, all of a sudden, they will experience new business outcomes because they've invested in a new website. And websites certainly play a central role in the larger digital strategy, but there's a lot that goes into being successful online, whether it's social media, SEO, content marketing, PR stuff, newsletters. There's a ton that goes into being successful online. Your website is certainly a hub, a central hub, but if you're thinking about if you're looking at investments for your company in the next year, and you think, let me just put all of my investment in a new website, you're making a mistake. You want to make sure a portion of that is for the website for sure, but you want to have capital left over for the other components of that strategy. So make sure you understand it's only a piece of a larger strategy. Design is a process. Don't expect perfection from your partner. Focus on healthy feedback and communication. Sort of like any relationship. Any relationship with anybody, a lover, a partner, if you expect them to read your mind and understand exactly who you are and what you want and what your frustrations are and what your aspirations are and everything else, you're going to be disappointed. Design is a process. It's the key is having a healthy dialogue, healthy channels of communication, and a process. For the web team you're working with should have a process for having these conversations. They should be able to structure these conversations in order to get you guys closer to this joint vision. The worst case scenario is, a designer presents you with a concept and you decide right away, I'm done, I'm walking away from this. I urge you not to do that. I urge you to think, okay, this isn't what I want right now. This doesn't feel like what my vision is right now. Can we have a conversation and get this closer? And if after a few conversations you're not getting it any closer, well, then that's when you want to think about maybe finding a new partner. But don't expect that the first concept from at the design level that you're going to see is going to be perfect, because that won't happen with any partner. You might be ruining a relationship with a solid web team. So think about conversations and process when it comes to design. The other expectation that we should set, so this is number 4, I believe, prices can vary. Quotes can vary greatly for the same 10-page website. That's depending on who you ask. And always understand that there are trade-offs, right? So you can have a 10-page website that's really cheap, but they don't do any of the data analysis. They don't do any sort of performance auditing. They don't do any sort of competitive analysis or conversations with you around vision. Or you can have a really expensive website in which they do all of those things. It really depends on what you're looking to accomplish and where you're at in your business journey. If this is your first website, if you're starting a brand new company, you're just trying to test the market out, get a site out there to send people to, and just see what the feedback is. If this is a new concept, you certainly shouldn't spend 20 grand on a new website. You should be splitting that money up across a couple different initiatives to drive traffic, conversions, marketing material. So it really depends on where you're at, but prices can vary greatly. It's like the question, it's like the question, how long is a piece of string? Like that, if you sit and think about that, you'll start to see how that applies to an actual website. So, so that's the last, part of this proper expectation setting that I would urge you to go through before you get into the process of having sales, starting to hire for this. There's also stuff you want to ask yourself before the web designer asks you. You want to come to these conversations having already gone through this with yourself or your team. One, what are you hoping to achieve? Why are you building a website in the first place? What am I comfortable? What percentage of my budget am I comfortable spending on a new website? What does the success metric or the ROI look like for the new website, right? So a lot of people, again, they're just like, I want to look good. It's like, well, what's the ROI on looking good, right? Like if you're going to invest $10,000 to $15,000 in a website, you want to have an ROI measurement ready to go so that you can judge success and you can have conversations with your web team about whether you're trending towards success or not. So the key here is to consider, what does success look like? What is the ROI? Why am I doing this in the first place? If it's just because you think you need to because everyone else is doing it, you're not necessarily fully wrong, but it's definitely not enough of a position, in my opinion, to start investing in websites. The other question you want to ask yourself is, what do I want my experience to be like? different web teams offer different kinds of experience for their clients. A lot, maybe you want someone who's very hyper local so that you can have, face-to-face meetings. You can go into their office, splash stuff on boards, have those conversations around branding and vision physically, and then therefore you kind of eliminate some options. When you draw a circle around the geography, you might be limited in terms of who you can work with. How comfortable are you with using technology? For example, our web process is all tech-based. We haven't met with a client since probably maybe 2019 or 2020. So we focus heavily on video conferences, email, document sharing, feedback technologies for design. So if that's not going to work for you, if you're very technologically averse and you don't think it's worth learning it, you'd rather just work with a hyperlocal resource, consider that and use that in your process of evaluating options. Are you in a rush? If you are in a rush, you are also going to eliminate your options. We don't want to work on rush projects because at the end of the day, we know clients are going to have the same expectations for their website, whether they were in a rush and in a rushed project or not. They're going to want it to look good, load well, and perform. There's not a lot of ways you can do that more quickly, right? You can't rush success and quality. But if you are in a rush, like you have a major event or a major announcement or a book coming out, well, then you want to make that clear in these conversations to identify who's in a position to do that and who's not. So that's really important. Is the actual experience you want this to be like, because those can vary greatly, and some people might charge you more to give you a really pleasant experience as the client, and some people might charge you less, but your experience could be pretty sporadic and unorganized and a little frustrating. So consider what you value in this case. Hiring the right team. This is obviously very important, and this is something I know a lot about because I've been in so many of these sales conversations, but I've also been in the actual production, operations, and support side of this, so I understand what to look out for. The first thing is to understand the different partner types, right? So there's the freelancer, there's the agency, and there's the Goldilocks, which I'll talk about. So the freelancer is the gun for hire solo practitioner who does the kind of onboarding, does the design, does the development, and then does the support. And they're typically cheaper, faster, less reliable, and less comprehensive, right? So there's always trade-offs. You cannot get everything you want, right? So that's if you're looking again for a cheap, fast built website and you're not going to rely on it heavily to be supported, then maybe the freelancer is a good option for you. The other option is the agency. They've got a big office space, a team of 30 to 40 people, and they have subject matter experts in every discipline involved in a digital strategy, and they can give you really comprehensive solutions. But they're also the most expensive, and they might not even have conversations with you for less than $80,000. So they are definitely the most expensive option, and they're very comprehensive. They could be overkill. Again, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, what stage your business or organization is at, you might not need an agency to accomplish what you're looking for. And again, it might not be a good use of your capital at this stage. So that's the drawback with the agency. And then the Goldilocks zone, that's kind of where we fall in. We're a small team with a diverse skill set, and we're a mix of responsiveness and quality, right? So we try and be fast and responsive like the freelancer, but with a diverse set of skills, because we have team members, subject matter experts in SEO, in technology and development, in design, rather than having the same person try and be an expert in all of those things. We've built a small team. Also, we don't have a really expensive office, so we don't have huge overhead, which means we don't have to charge you $80,000 for every project. And there's a lot of teams like us. So those are kind of the breakdowns And again, it really just depends on what your needs are. That's going to drive who you should be looking for in these conversations. Do a quick dig when hiring a team. You want to look at the portfolio. You want to make sure that they're batting in the right average for you, right? So there's no certification for being a web designer. So you can have really bad designs and really good designs. Again, it comes down typically to cost. And because the good designers know what they're worth and they'll charge you more. Take a look at the portfolio, get a sense of what ballpark they're in. Are they making cheap looking designs, or are they really high quality? And then you'll start to understand kind of what kind of conversations you're going to be having. And then a reputation review is critical. Look them up on Google, look at their Google reviews, get a sense of what people are saying about them, look around, look online, look at social media, try and identify what their strengths are, maybe what some of their weaknesses are. You can kind of just do your due diligence when it comes to reputation to make sure you're not getting the shades drawn before your eyes in these sales conversations. You come with a knowledge of their past performance. So that's the quick dig. Questions to ask. Questions you want to ask before you hire for one of these things. One, what is your experience like with clients after you've launched their site? I've put that in bold because launching a website is a fraction of the actual process for succeeding digitally, right? There's so much that needs to be done on an ongoing basis. There's so much opportunity out there after the website is launched that the website launch is really just step one. So you don't want to set yourself up with a partner, leverage their technology, follow their process, have their product, for your brand, and then not have any relationship with them afterwards, because then you're going to go hire. You might, for services you need afterwards, you might have to go hire a new team who doesn't know the technology they're working with, or doesn't like their philosophy, and then you might have to rework some of the stuff they've done. So find yourself a team that has a robust service offering after launch that can help further your objectives. Number 2 question to ask, do you have any data that speaks to the impact of your service on clients? You want to look for results at the end of the day, right? It's not, having a great design is nice, but you want to see that it led to a reduced bounce rate or more engagement or maybe more visibility in search engines. You want to see what the results are, in terms of the actual, project launch and completion. And you want to make sure that they have that information somewhere for you. And you also want to ask, what do clients do that typically create the biggest headaches for you? It's important to understand that clients can create headaches for vendors. If you've ever been in a service-based business, you understand. So it can be helpful if you want to have a nice relationship with your partner. Again, this applies to any sort of partner relationship, whether it's personal or professional. Understand what drives them mad, what drives them nuts, what are the issues they face with clients. So you can either understand, look, we're not going to work because that's my style, or you can say, all right, I understand that, this is how we can approach that. But to not know, these things is a major challenge. It's one of the questions I ask sales leads when we're having conversations is like, what about a service provider drives you nuts? So that we can understand if it's something like, all of their communication is through technology. It's like, well, that's gonna drive you nuts with us too, because we're either doing a video conference or an email. So again, get that information out of the way so you can have the right partner sitting in front of you at the end of the day. Okay, so those are questions to ask. Come prepared. The first part of this is a content audit. You want to do an assessment of your current messaging and understand if this is the stuff you want to use on your next site. The content drives a lot of the design and vice versa. It's a very back and forth relationship, but if you're moving forward with the design and you have old content, then you're not going to be thrilled with the outcome because you're going to spend a lot of time reworking the content in the end, and it's going to affect the design. So do an assessment of your current messaging and understanding if this is still the company you're presenting yourself as, the company you want to be with your current messaging. Understand, is all of your messaging and your services and your offerings and your differentiators, are those still relevant today? Are they still the most relevant today? What's the least relevant today? Can we remove content? Do I have photos or visuals ready? Like if you want to make a good looking website, having high quality photography and maybe some video is really key. And so if do you have any of that stuff ready, or are you going to ask your web designer to do the miraculous, which is you leverage, only stock photography to create a genuine brand for you online? And then the other part of that was the video, getting maybe a professional video done for the website. If an image speaks 1,000 words, a video speaks 1,000,000. And so that saves you a lot of work in terms of copy. So think about video, think about maybe you want to start there and then move into the website, or maybe have those done at the same time. Typically a web team has a really good video resource. We do. So maybe start having that conversation with them early on. So that's the content audit. Come educated. Do some high-level research on the following topics: search engine optimization, WordPress, Squarespace, Shopify, and then web design trends. You want to have a rough understanding of these things, again, so that you're not getting caught in sales conversations and being lied to or misled. You want to have a rough understanding of the theory and practice involved so you can put values on them, and so that you can understand who knows what they're talking about and who doesn't. You never want to approach a situation, any sales situation, whether it's buying a car, a house, or a website, blind, which is surprising how many people do that, who approach it like, I know nothing about this. I want a website though. It's like, well, I could tell you anything right now and you might be convinced. And a lot of those things might be the wrong things. So do some research and then come back, and then we can have an educated conversation on what you need and what we recommend. So, and if you're working with the right team, they want you to be educated. If you're working with the wrong team, they want you to know nothing so that they can completely drive the conversation and maybe bulldoze you into committing to things that maybe you shouldn't commit to. So come educated. The last component in terms of come prepared is the budget. Understand that brands should be spending about 4% of their annual revenue on their website. This is taken from the SBA. They say that about 7 to 8% of your budget should be spent on your marketing. I think personally, half of that should go to your website, because that's probably where you're driving people anyways. So depending on your revenue, you want a team who values your situation. Apple doesn't want to spend $8,000 on a website with a provider, because it just means that provider is not going to be able to handle the importance and the significance of this web build. So depending on your revenue, expect to spend anywhere from 8 to 15 to 25 to 40 to 60. Again, how long is a piece of string? Think about your revenue. Think about think about a website being worth about 4% of that in terms of your success. And then now you have a rough understanding of what should you be spending on your website. You don't want to always go for the cheapest option, especially if it's the central hub of your digital operations. So that's budget, which is typically what everybody asks. That's why I kept it till the end, is because it's probably the most important thing. Questions? Feel free to email me, Dylan at 118 Group. I'm happy to set up a time and talk with you. If you're starting to have conversations with people and you want another set of eyes or better understanding, or you just want to ask me about my team, feel free to shoot me an email. We'll set up a time, have a call, and run through it all. I hope this was valuable, and I hope this was fast enough. I'm trying to talk fast and get through this stuff. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.